Man, oh man, Studio Madhouse, once again, you have surprised me with this week's episode of Overlord. Last week, you gave us some very questionable scenes, especially when it came to the lizard scene or the Shaw chair scene. I definitely did not steal that from the comment section last week. And no proof. Anyways, we see this girl that Sebastian saves, and there is a list of horrid things that is done to her. And I remember reading this in the light novel and remember thinking, like, holy crap, like, this is some dark stuff. Like, this girl has all these diseases, she's beat up, broken ribs, broken bones, torn ligaments, all these type of things. You're like, yo, this is some savage stuff. And I remember when I read this at the time, I was like, there's just no way this is going to be added properly into the anime, because knowing how anime is, I'm not faulting the studio, so just when it comes to censorship, they have to censor things for broadcasting, and I was just very surprised to see how all of that detail, that list of details on what happened to this girl, it was shown in this episode, and I'm like, okay, Studio Madhouse. I mean, I guess it's not a far stretch. I mean, if you're willing to show lizards, going at it and all that, and seeing Lulu and, all them, I mean, I guess this makes sense you're willing to show that, but for some reason in Taizai, you can't have fingernails coming off. That's too much. That's too far when fingernails come off, but you can have, characters doing stuff like this throughout this episode or other, anime I have reviewed. But, jokes aside, though, let's get into the main point of this episode and kind of explain to anime onlys what to kind of expect. Okay, so as you can see from this episode, once again, we have a POV shift. It is no longer focusing on the Lizardman or Cocytus or anything like that, or Ainz. It's focusing on Sebastian, the head butler of Nazarick. Now, this character, Sebastian, personally to me, I was always fascinated about his character ever since we were introduced to him in Season 1 or the first light novel, and the reason why I was interested in him is because he was very different. He was a very different type of person working in Nazarick compared to all the others. I mean, when you look at, Albedo, or you look at Demi, or you look at Shaw Chair, I almost said Shaw Chair again, Shaw Tier and all that, when you see, them, you notice they don't really like, humanity. They don't like humans. They don't like lesser beings. Even if they're not humans, they just look at everybody like lesser beings. If you're not a part of Nazarick, they have no respect for you. And we even seen in this episode from Solution that she didn't have any respect at all for the girl that was beat up and tore up. And us as the viewer were like, whoa, what's wrong with you? Like, at the very least, have some mercy, have some kindness in your heart. But, she didn't have it. But this entire attitude is typical attitude from all of, the servants of Nazarick. And it's what we've seen time and time again. And so I always thought it was fascinating when Sebastian was introduced in Season 1 or Volume 1, when Ainz was contemplating things, he was looking through a mirror. I don't know if you guys remember this or not, but I'm kind of giving you a refresh. In Season 1, Ainz looking through a mirror, he was looking at the town and all that, and when he was looking at the town that was getting attacked by a bunch of mercenaries, you had Sebastian to his side, and he was thinking of, Lord Touch Me-san. Now, I'm not trying to have innuendos or anything, I'm just saying that's the man's name. But, I mean, he was thinking about, Lord Touch Me. And he looked at Sebastian, and Sebastian was created by him. And so Sebastian had this different kindness in him. It looked like he wanted Ainz to go and save those people instead of getting slaughtered. And so that caused, Ainz to go out of his way to save people at the beginning of Season 1. So Sebastian was always this character that was a lot different compared to everyone else. He was someone that did care for weak individuals. Not just, looking at Nazarick and only caring about them. He does care about others. And so this POV shift was something that I was really happy about when it happened, because after the Lizardman arc, depending on how everybody felt about it, this was a nice change of pace going into, Sebastian's, point of view, and seeing how he interacts with the world. So just as a brief FYI, okay, yes, this is basically a Sebastian-themed arc. Now, there is going to be a little bit other POV shifts, like we see at the end of this episode with Brain, and we also see, Gazef and all that. Well, we see those two individuals as well, and this arc will be focusing on them somewhat, but overall, it's going to be Sebastian as well and his journey through this part of the story. So, it's some really interesting stuff to look forward to. That's all I'm pretty much going to say. Now, anyways, let's start off with the beginning of the episode, okay? Let's explain that in detail. So, Sebastian walked into, like, this, this shop and all that. That's for mages. They sell stuff. And he asked for whatever this is, what type of magic this is, asking for an explanation. They explain to him what it does, and he decides to purchase this magic scroll and take it back with him. Now, many might look at this and be like, whoa, why is he doing that? Like, why is Sebastian going out of his way buying this scroll when obviously their level of magic, even though it was a tier 1 magic scroll, you're like, why would you spend like that much money or even 1 gold or whatever for something like that when obviously your skills are way above that? Like, why would you? But that's the big thing you gotta remember, okay? Many of the, servants of Nazarick, all of them, they are trying to find out more about the world. And so Sebastian, what he's doing, he's going around trying to figure out new magic that's in this world and then take it back to Nazarick before they can study it and figure out what it is. They didn't really give any explanation of that at the beginning of the episode, so that's why I'm going as far as to explain it, because that was the whole point of that first segment. Basically, Sebastian getting scrolls, gaining information on the world, different magic that wasn't in the original game, and that's what made that scene so fascinating. We get to see what Sebastian's been doing from day-to-day life. He's, walking through the town, and you see this bag just thrown outside of, this, inn or whatever, and he cuts it open, and a girl is inside. This girl, obviously very beat up, and it's horrid looking. You're like, whoa, it's just like a complete shocking scene. When you saw that, you're like, you didn't expect something like that. And when you saw Sebastian look at the girl, you figured it'd be like a normal scene with, how the servants of Nazarick are. They would, not care about it. They'd just continue walking off and all that. You figured something like that would happen, but that did not happen. Sebastian showed a very kind heart. The way he talked, it looked like he didn't care at first. Like, he had this attitude that looked like he didn't care. He's like, could you let go of me and all that? Like, when she was grabbing onto his, leg, his pants leg, she wouldn't let go, and she most likely was doing it while unconscious. Like, she probably wasn't even fully aware of what she was doing at the time. She was just grabbing it instinctively because she just did not want to die. And Sebastian, you'd think he would not have cared, because the way, we've seen everybody else, all the other servants, they've always acted like they didn't care at all. Now, if you had been paying attention to his character, obviously you would know what he probably wanted to do. But the big point is that he basically took it out upon himself to save her and take care of the dude that was being scummy, but at the same time, he actually had a heart to give the man money before he could escape the country and not get targeted by the 8 fingers. So even though the man was complete scum, what he was doing, Sebastian still pitied the man and let the man get away. So it just shows what type of heart this dude has. And then he goes out of his way to take the girl back to where they're staying, which you know for a fact, okay, the way Ainz operates, everybody operates in the Great Tomb of Nazarick, they don't like that. They don't like, new people coming in like that and just, finding out new information. They gotta keep everything on the down low, hush, hush. But, Sebastian just brought this girl in, and we know at the end of the day, she's probably not a bad person, okay? She probably made bad choices, bad decisions, or whatever, that led her to where she's at, but overall, we probably know she's not a bad person. But even then, though, caution. It's caution. That's a big thing with Ainz and everybody else. You gotta be cautious, and Sebastian kind of threw that to the wind to help her out. And you even see after the scene when he's just trying to help her out and all that, and telling Solution, hey, look, you need to heal. You need to heal her. Like, you need to make sure she is fine, get rid of everything, fix her, fix all these diseases, fix all her broken bones and stuff, make sure she is able to be herself once again. And that scene when he does that and he walks out of the room, he's like, am I cursed and all that? I was created by Lord Touch Me, son, and I take on his characteristics and all that. He's one of the supreme ones, and he's like, am I cursed? And that right there shows that he is very different. He's a very different NPC. He has emotions, he cares about others, and he is doing things that are outside of the realm of what Ainz basically ordered them to do. I mean, if you think about it, Sebastian made his own decision. He made his own decision. He actually did something that Ainz was trying to teach Cocytus in the last arc. You remember in the last arc, the whole point of the last arc for, Cocytus was to, learn how to make a decision, learn how to operate and be a commander, lead an army that is obviously a very bad army. He just needs to be able to make his own decisions and think his way through. That's what Ainz was trying to teach him, go after what he wants. And so when he made that decision, he wanted the Lizardmen to survive, Ainz was very happy with it. And everybody thought he was probably probably, angry. Ainz would be angry, but Ainz was actually legit happy. He was glad they were getting their own personalities, and they were, progressing as their own person instead of just, blindly following Ainz. He doesn't want that. And so Sebastian is already taking changes, like he's undergoing changes and doing things that, normally you wouldn't see from an NPC or a servant from Nazarick. So that's what we got going on here. It's already some major progression there, and he's even doubting or questioning himself, like, what am I doing and all that? Am I cursed? So, good stuff. Very good stuff. Loved it overall. So pretty much you have, this big field going on, and you have these new characters that are introduced, and they start, like, lighting this entire field on fire. It's like in the middle of a village. And at first, it looks like these characters I introduced are bad guys. They look like they're heinous individuals, destroying things, killing people. It just looks like they're bad people. But then we get some dialogue that reveals that they were, like, tasked with a mission to basically destroy this field, which is like a crop or a plant to produce these certain drugs for, the 8 fingers, which was already name-dropped earlier on in this episode. So, yeah, they're not necessarily bad dudes, they're just trying to halt an operation, like a drug trade operation, and get that out of the way. So that's basically set up there for the 8 fingers and these new characters that were introduced. That's pretty much it. Brain and Gazef, okay? Gazef and Brain, they're very important characters. Now, Brain, you might not remember too much. They did give us a flashback in this episode, kind of reminding everybody what happened in the previous season, and at that time, there was a lot of details kind of cut. Like, you had it to where Studio Madhouse, they were on rush mode, and they kind of cut a lot of scenes from that, and not a lot of that stuff was really put properly into the anime, and so you couldn't really get the reason why Brain was just that scared, why he was so upset, because in the light novel, when that happened in Volume 3, that man was just legit terrified, and you could understand, you could feel his emotions when you were reading the light novel, because of just how OP Shaltir was after you heard what this man has already been through. You're like, my god. So, that scene obviously wasn't done well in the anime in Season 1. But they still tried to translate it back into this season. They tried to basically show you guys, like, okay, this man, Shaltir basically destroyed this man. This man's overall hopes and spirits are completely crushed. He thinks he's inferior. He can't do anything. In reality, he kind of is. Like, he can't really do anything against, anybody from the Great Tomb of Nazarick, because we've already seen time and time again. And it just puts in perspective that these are like some high-level warriors and all that, knights, that couldn't do anything. So that just puts the level gap there between Ainz's crew and the people of the kingdom. There you go. So, set up there. That's pretty much it. So, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And so with that, I love you guys. Have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Chibi out.